Welcome back to Slow Your Roll, everybody. I am Cody.
I'm Alex.
And today we're doing something very different, very new. This is the first, actually I guess it's not the first. This is one of the first times that we are recording a live gameplay.
But it is the first time it's DC20.
Exactly, let's go. So we will be playing using the game system DC20, developed by the Dungeon Coach, and there will be a link for the alpha in the description. And check this out. I don't know if Alan's going to watch this, but if he does, I am repping that DC20 RPG shirt. And you know it's vintage because it's not even called DC20 RPG anymore. It's just DC20.
Nice.
Let's not waste any time. Oh man, I'm so excited and nervous.
Perfect. But first, let's waste time.
So I will be the game master for this game. It's going to be just a back and forth, like just a duo little campaign. I don't even know how long it's going to be, but I mean, I'm ready to get started if you are. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Oh man. Okay. So, let's see. Before we get too deep into this, give the people something about the character you'll be playing.
Okay, definitely. So, I'm going to be playing Zephyrian. He's a fallen angelborn and a dragonborn scion. I know, it's a mouthful. Let's see. About Zephyrian. His father was a paladin. His mother was the fallen angel. They fell in love and eventually had to run away together. And eventually Zephyrian was born. Spending most of his life pretty much on the run and close to the seas. He's good with a trident and a net. He also happens to be able to speak Celestial and Fiend, which is our own little version of homebrew, which you're not able to do.
Correct.
For the most part, I'd say he pretty much keeps to himself, but he does have a family memento, kind of like his father's amulet that his little spirit dragon resides in, and that's kind of like his companion that keeps him company.
There we go. Okay, very cool. Here we go. In the tranquil veil of night, a star descends dramatically across the vast sky. This celestial event carries with it a cryptic call, a call that echoes enigmatically across the realm. This call, however, seems only audible to a diminutive spectral dragon, your companion, faithful companion at that. It is strangely enthralled and driven by this celestial summons. Your dragonette, as it's called, is absolutely jumping out of its non-existent skin to go toward this anomaly. So you are, as this event happens, it's like at night, and you are quickly awakened by a like blast of light, and you look up and you see the sky and this crazy like shooting star across the sky, like nothing you've ever seen. And your little dragon friend is just going crazy, like just going wild, and is like running around you like a crazy internet video of a ferret, and it's like booping you in the face with its nose, and it's just like going bonkers. So where exactly was Zephyrian woken up, since he's in I will say that you are in or outside of a town called Doren, and it's like Doren is a relatively small city, and there's like a big waterfall that the city is kind of like next to, as the city's kind of like built up against a cliff, and there's this waterfall flowing next to the city and like down a little river. There's a big bridge that crosses that on the outside of the city.
Okay.
So Where was it that Zephyrian decided to be asleep? Where did he lay his head?
He would probably be like camped outside of town. Probably just a small campsite, maybe like a tiny tent, little bedroll in there.
Very good, very good. Okay. So basically you're just chilling. You're chilling in your tent, and there's this big burst of light. You jump out the tent real quick to see what's going on, and all that is going down. So how do you handle, or what do you do next when your dragonette friend is just booping your snoot like crazy?
Well, I definitely just try to talk to it for a little bit and be like, what's going on, man? I'm not 100% sure if I can understand him, or if he can talk at all, but I feel like I'd at least be able to see like where he's trying to tell him to go.
Yes.
You know, if he's like, hey, this way, like Timmy's down a well.
Right, exactly. So your dragonette companion does not speak, but you have learned pretty well how to understand. It's kind of like when you have a cat for a long time, and you know when your cat's hungry. A lot of times, even just the meows they make, you're like, I know what that meow means, So it's kind of like that situation.
Yeah, almost like Morph from Treasure Planet.
Yes, exactly. So basically, when you ask your dragonette what's going on, it will stop, trying to wake you up and freaking out, and kind of just like run a little bit away from you, or fly a little bit away from you, and just like point like a bloodhound in the direction that the star seems to have maybe even collided with the land, as you do notice a small shudder in the distance.
Okay. I'll wrap up whatever remnants I have in my campsite. Make sure there's no forest fires before I go. And can I like see the crashed site? Is it a little bit farther from me, or what?
It seems quite far away, like several days of travel even.
Dang, okay.
Yeah. It seems quite far, but for whatever reason, your dragonette is just really wanting to go, really interested in the event.
And I'm next to a town. Are the shops kind of like 24/7, or do you think they're probably all closed by now?
It's a pretty interesting town, and a lot of people do travel to it, if nothing else, just to see like the waterfall and the way it's set up. So it's a pretty bustling town even at night. There's definitely going to be some shops open here and there.
Okay. Does Zephyrian have any money to his name?
Ooh, good question. I would say he definitely does. What would you say Zephyrian has done in his life to kind of like earn a bit of cash here and there?
So he would have been on the go a lot for his life, like close to the seas. So he could have taken many different sailing jobs or coastal jobs to like catch crabs or like rig up sails or whatever. Okay. I'd assume he'd be somewhat good at that kind of stuff, but his father was also a paladin, so I might assume he might take up a job or two should there be a downtrodden person nearby.
Okay, cool. All right, yeah, so he's got some work under his belt for sure. Okay, so let's start him off with like let's see here, roll a d20, and that will decide somewhere within the range that I have in my head. It will decide about where he's going to land.
10.
What was that, sorry?
It was 10. I rolled it on Roll20.
Okay, nice. So let's start him off. The range in my head was like anywhere between 80 and 100 gold. So let's start him off with 90 gold.
Nice.
Which is a decent amount, actually. It's not bad at all.
Definitely. So, Zephyrian was probably in this area to pick up supplies. Likely he would have went into the town into the morning, but since there's an emergency, he's going to see if he can try to get at least 3 healing potions and possibly a herbalist supply kit, alchemist supply kit, and brewer supply kit. Just the things to make his trades work.
That makes sense to me. And it's safe to say that you might have some of those things already. So let's see.
Do you want to just say that I have the things that come along with the trades that I'm proficient in?
I would say so, yeah. At least like the basics of those things. So yeah, I would say that you have the kits for them.
Okay. I actually have a shopping wish list on my character sheet, so those are taken off and added to the inventory.
There you go.
Okay, there. Sorry about that. So,
you're good.
Heading to the alchemy shop to try to get some potions.
Nice.
Being somebody who's by himself a lot, I need to rely on quick healing.
Yep, fair enough. Okay, that sounds good. So, you know that there is... let's see here. There is a trade post in town. There's a brewery in town. That's more for like drinks, but you never know. They might be cooking up some magic stuff there too. And then there's a mortician.
He's got.
But you remember
stuff.
seeing, yeah, you remember seeing those places, and really you might be able to find something along the lines of just simple healing potions at any of those places. So, what do you think?
I guess I'll go to the brewers. to see how
All
they're
right.
doing.
All right, cool.
Is it like a specific shop that has like a name? Is it like a farmer's market
Yes.
where like people come in and just set up a booth or something?
Yes. So, this brewery you've seen earlier is called Odelrada's Brews. And the owner is Odelrada.
Oh, okay.
So, when you make your way there, it is still nighttime, but like I said, the town is quite lively. There is one older, mellow-looking human lady. When you kind of like go into her shop, her shop has kind of like an open face situation going on the front, so it's got like a porch, and she still has it open. It's a relatively nice, like a summer night, cool air thing going on.
Nice.
So she quickly sees you, and she's kind of nodding off, but she's got her lights lit, signaling that she is still open. And so she finally sees you, and she's like, "Oh, hi. What's up? What do you need? Can I help you with something?"
Coming into town to try to find just a couple of supplies, if you can help me out. I need potions, maybe even an ingredients list to make some for myself later.
Oh, okay. Well, sure. I mean, I've got mostly, I'm not going to lie to you, the only potions I really have maybe a little something extra in them too, but they work they work the same. They just might get you a little buzzed.
Yeah. Excuse me. As somebody well versed in the brewing arts, I think that'll be fine with me.
All right. Well, that's perfect. And you said you wanted 3 of them. I could give you a little bundle. How about I'll give you all 3 for around 70 gold.
70 gold's not bad. Is there any chance I could get maybe just a little bit more off of that? It's not exactly the product I was looking for, but...
Oh, that's a fair point. We've got a haggler here. Sure, go ahead and roll a little an influence check.
Nice. And I'm actually...
DC20's version of the persuasion situation going on.
I'm actually pretty good at influence.
Nice, nice.
I better be, because I rolled a 9 plus 5 to make 14.
Okay, sounds good. She bites. So she's like, all right, you know what? You seem like a really nice and unique gentleman, so I don't see many folks like you after all. How about I'll do it all for 50 gold.
50 gold? Sounds great. And is that half of my money now? Did I have 80
yes.
or 100?
I think you had 90.
90?
So,
okay. So
yep.
40 left. Thank you.
Yep.
Perfect. And I imagine my dragoness probably still trying to tell me to go in the direction of the meteor, I guess. Like, do I kind of know what meteors are, or is it just like this phenomenon?
Yeah, so you do know what they are. This one did seem especially interesting. Like its trail was like, it seemed like its trail was visibly like sparkling and like especially almost like enchanted looking, you know?
Okay.
But you've definitely seen your fair share of like shooting stars, maybe even meteor showers, things like that. This one stood out. It was different.
Well, now that I got my healing potions and I still have a little bit of cash to my name, I think I should head out.
Okay.
Going into... Actually, before I do that, I want to grab a pickaxe just to make sure. If it is like a shooting star or something, I want to be able to take a sample or whatever.
That makes sense to me. Okay, yeah. So... Very good. You remember seeing there was like a little trade post situation, and you do remember seeing that it seemed like the place that might have something like that. So
yeah, I figured it'd be like general store or somebody who sells tools and stuff.
Yep, exactly. Yep. So it's pretty easy to do that. You make your way over to Giambano's marketplace. He's got himself a little trade post set up there, and he's an old gnome-like dude, kind of hunched over, and he's quick to sell you really whatever you want. So like as soon as you walk in, he greets you. He's just like, "Hey, what do you want, bud? You got, what are you here for?" And you see a pickaxe as soon as you walk in, conveniently.
Definitely. I'd probably just be like, there's got another meteor on the horizon. Need a pickaxe and maybe any other tools you need to get some of the good stuff out of it.
Hey, where's a meteor? That sounds pretty interesting. Well, I've got a very nice pickaxe right here. I'd happily sell it to you for 2 gold. It's a very stark contrast in price, but I mean, yeah, it's pretty solid. It's your average pickaxe, but it looks good.
Okay, definitely. As long as the pickaxe doesn't look shoddy in any way or like unable to handle a foreign element. If for some reason it's like the bronze pickaxe, then I want to go for the better one. But like other than that, I'll take it.
No, this one does seem like a very solid metal it's made of. It seems good. Should be able to handle quite a bit.
Okay, cool. So just 2 gold, you said?
That's it.
Nice. I won't even try to haggle. I'll be like, you know what? I like you, old man. I'll hand him.
Thanks. Name's Giambano. Come on back anytime.
I appreciate you, G. And then I'm going to hand him 3 gold.
Oh, nice. All right, cool. He's thrilled about it. That's like kind of the equivalent of like giving him an extra $100, really. So he's pretty psyched.
Nice.
Cool. Anything else you wanted to pick up in town?
No, I can't really think of anything. I think I'm going to be pretty supplied to do whatever I need for the meteor. So I'm also assuming that I have like rations for like a couple of days. Do I?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I thought so.
And really whatever form you'd like.
I figured anything a part of the adventurer pack from like D&D would just be what I have right now. So I have like
I was
a
thinking
rope,
the
a
exact same
tinderbox,
thing.
whatever, you know?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I should be all good to set off on a journey. I don't think there's anything that I specifically need, so I'll start heading out.
All right, awesome. So correct me if I'm wrong, but you're not necessarily super familiar with this area, right? Like you're kind of traveling through?
No, not really. I actually even have, for my background, it's sailor and nomad. So I'm definitely somebody who's never really called any place home.
Okay, cool. All right, but being a nomad, I imagine you're relatively familiar with like general landscapes and kind of predicting the flow of the land somewhat. So I will say, heading in the direction of where your dragonette is just pestering you to go, you know that there's likely 2 ways to get there. You've heard of some caverns that could get you most, or at least starting in the direction of that strange occurrence.
Okay.
And you know that at least the first little bit from the town here are probably going to be pretty secure, and then you're not really sure what to expect after that in the caverns area if you were to travel that way.
Right.
And you're also familiar with this area. There was a part of this area heading in that direction where it gets a little bit more like desert-like climate. And you've even heard rumors of like a desert with black sands and things in that direction.
Ooh.
And you know that overland travel might not be all that safe either, as you might be traveling in a relatively uncharted direction. So you've got 2 options.
I would absolutely go for the Black Sands area. Open areas are going to be a little bit better for me, especially since Zephyrian has big black angel wings. So he's going to be able to spread those out and try to glide. It's not a fly yet, but he'll be able to glide over different kinds of areas. So I'm hoping maybe the elevation that I'm currently at, the desert, will be a slightly lower elevation, so that way I can get a couple of good glides or 2 in that way. But even if it's not like the elevation that I'm looking for, I'm still gonna head to the Black Desert.
All right, that makes sense to me. Okay, so you head off in the you head off on your journey in the overland, avoiding the darkness and the cramped space of underground, perhaps.
Yes.
And before long, I'll say that when you woke up from this meteor, it was maybe really early morning, like it was still night, like maybe like 3 or 4 a.m.
Okay, nice.
But you got enough of a rest in to like kind of start your day then, so it's not too big of an issue there.
Okay, so I'll take off the exhaustion, right? I'm kidding.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, you can take off your 3 exhaustion. So yeah, you are good to go. You travel, and before long, the sun kind of peaks up onto the land a little bit, and you can see a little better.
Okay.
And you are traveling on your way. So,
while I'm on my way, I would try my best to keep a lookout for, like, obviously safety, but maybe even some sort of herbs and other things like that to use for my alchemy supplies. So if there's like a big sore thumb sticking out that's like, hey, this is for alchemy, I would probably grab it.
Okay, I gotcha. Sounds good. Okay, well, let's do a quick little let's do a quick survival check while you're traveling along. See if you notice any herbs of sorts.
Okay. Ooh, 23.
Oh, nice. Okay. I will say that you definitely did find enough ingredients to be able to make some pretty cool stuff with your alchemy kit, especially.
Nice. Do I know what the herbs are, or should I go get them checked out later to like figure out what they do?
I would say that you are able to identify them. Let's say narratively, you know what they were, or you wouldn't have picked them, kind of thing. So let's say like you found some, you know what they are, you recognize them, and you know that they have healing properties.
Nice.
And you could easily, using these, you could probably end up making a potion of healing that would be like half of the cost making it that way instead.
Okay, nice. So
but it'd probably take like I don't know, maybe like a couple hours to make or something. So maybe like the next time you're willing to just sit down and do that for a while or something, you could definitely make that happen.
Sounds good to me. I'll tuck those away in the pouch and then continue on my journey. I'll probably actually just have the little dragon spirit guide me. Mm-hmm. More or less, especially if we're in the dark, he'd probably be like my light guiding the way. Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense to me. That sounds good. And it's pretty easy too. Your dragonette friend has some interesting and, I mean, really largely like unexplainable abilities. There has been times that it's like openly protected you when your life was threatened. It can actually attack and hurt things. And you've seen that happen before. It can even like empower you to the point that you feel like more powerful. And so yeah, I'd say it's pretty easy that this thing can give off a small glow, like a lantern, if nothing else, to kind of like follow as you're traveling along. Definitely. And yeah, I don't think it'd be like a bright glow like the angel brightness or whatever. I think it'd be like the faint glow, kind of like a will-o'-the-wisp. Yep. I definitely agree. Okay, cool. So, you travel, and it's very soon after you leave the sanctuary of a civilized area, you begin to see the climate and the landscape shift. Like, it does not take long before you start seeing some shifting sands covering a lot of the hills. And then traveling a bit further still, you notice that it's even more so the case where like the hills that you're seeing are just crested completely with sand. A lot of the path is blown over, if existent at all. And then there's even areas where there's like entire pockets of drifting sand that is like just black sand. And it's really interesting, almost like the sand around volcanoes and stuff. Weird. Do I see any volcanoes anywhere? Make a awareness check. Awareness check. Another thing I'm actually good at. Nice. Ooh, natural 20 plus 5. Ooh, dang. Okay. All right. Let's do this. So, I'm going to give you some big stuff for that one. Let's see. So, as you're traveling, you notice you don't see any volcanoes, but you notice there's a almost completely sand-covered cart that's like tipped over, and it has a chest that's hardly exposed and almost completely buried, but you can see the shape of the end of the chest, and you're like, hey, that looks like a chest. Okay. I definitely want to go over there, check it out. I want to make sure that it's safe. Like, I want to, how do I say this? I want to make sure that cart is not currently sinking. Like, that's the hazard of what made it that way. If that is, like, okay, then that's what I would check for and then go for it.
Okay, that sounds good. So, I guess roll just like a quick investigation check to see if the whole situation seems safe or if you see any danger related to it.
Okay, 11.
11, okay. It seems like whatever this situation is, it doesn't seem like it's set up at all. It's kind of off the path. You gather that if it was some sort of trap, not necessarily that's what you're looking for, but if it were some sort of trap, it might even be a little bit closer to the path to try to get, some of the travelers that might be going that way. It kind of just looks like an old, long ignored, tipped or ambushed cart or something like that.
Okay.
But it seems relatively safe.
Yeah, I'll head over there. I'll examine the cart first and then go for the chest.
Okay, sounds good. The cart has one thing in it, as far as you can tell, and the one thing is just a skeleton that seems to be very old, dried up, and it was wearing what looks to be kind of like nice clothes, but not like super regal.
Okay.
Not like royalty, but just kind of nice clothes. But now they're kind of old and just tattered. And you see a small, old, dried up inkwell as well.
Dried up inkwell on the guy?
Yes.
So are these clothes? There we go. It wasn't letting me type, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Okay, so are these clothes in any way signifying he's a part of a group or royalty? Does he have like an insignia or anything on his specific clothes?
Ooh, interesting. You do notice one insignia on what looks to be on the inkwell, actually. Not necessarily on his clothes, but the inkwell's like resting right on his chest.
Nice.
So you kind of notice that. Make a... Let's see, probably just like a history check to see if you can identify what that symbol means.
I got 12.
12, okay. You vaguely recognize the symbol as some sort of like a guild symbol, something related to the arts in some way.
Okay.
Kind of remember that for some reason.
I'll pocket the inkwell and start heading towards the chest.
Okay. Make your way over to the chest. It is largely buried, but you can fish it out as the sand is quite loose that has covered it.
Sounds good.
And I'll say that with your previous check, but as far as you can tell, the chest does seem just disregarded and relatively safe.
Okay. I'll start undigging it. Does it happen to say across the top, Stanley Yelnaz?
It sure does. That's awesome. No, but you do see the same symbol that was on the inkwell on the chest as well.
Okay, good. Is there anything within the chest, or do I have any difficulties getting it out of the ground?
I'll say because the sand is so loose, you're able to get it out of the ground without too much effort, especially with the encouragement or empowerment of your small dragonette that's with you. So you are able to get it out, and when you open it, the only thing inside is a bunch of old, unused parchment paper and one book. It looks vaguely like a journal.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and take the parchment paper and the old journal, stuff it away in my backpack, and I guess keep on heading on. If I do have a sack, I think it'd be really cool to pick up a sack of this black sand and take it with me as well.
Ah, okay. That makes sense to me.
And
I'd say that it'd be pretty easy to make that happen. You might even find that this unfortunate soul that has perished would have possibly some things like that on him that are still usable too. So you are definitely able to find a small little bag to bring with you.
Definitely. The alchemist in me is a little bit curious, you know?
Oh, absolutely. So you've got this journal. You said you're just kind of pocketing it, taking it with you for now?
Yeah, I'll just take it with me. Okay. But did the journal have the same insignia as everything else?
The journal does have the same insignia, kind of small, and it also seems like it has a name stamped on it as well. What the heck? Sorry, hang on.
You're good.
I closed everything. Okay. It does have a name stamped on it as well. The name is Hartmer.
Hartmer.
Ackletrude.
Ackletrude.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as you're kind of like scoping this thing out,
I don't really want to flip it open and read the whole thing, but I'll like skim through it and make sure nothing falls out of the journal, anything like that, you know?
Okay, cool. Sounds good. I was about to ask if you're opening it at all. Okay. And then it explodes. No, I'm just kidding. So
rolling the character.
You open this, you open this journal and you see quickly, like kind of like the scrawling or almost like ramblings, of like a poetically linguistic person.
Okay.
And it's just talking about like vaguely just like, I'm so excited to see this place. I've heard so many rumors and everything else. And as you're reading through, you realize this thing gives like a whole little description sort of this area. And this person seems just really thrilled about it. So he's like, man, I've heard of it so much. The scorched expanse is what they call it. And like he describes it in detail. He's like, a vast desert of black sand and smoldering fissures. Once was a lush valley. It was scorched by the wrathful dragon Pyrothrax, turning it into a treacherous wasteland. Travelers must beware the ash wraiths, remnants of those caught in Pyrothrax's fiery tempest, and ever-present threat of the dragon's return. The few oases that dot this landscape are said to be fiercely contested by nomadic tribes and savages who trade a safe passage for precious resources or services if you're lucky. And so he's just like really rambling about this place, making it all artsy and everything. And he's like, I'm so excited to see it.
Okay.
And unfortunately, it seems like he didn't see it very long, perhaps.
During that, did it say anything about the dragon color?
It did not.
Okay, no worries. After scanning over the journal, I'll take all of that to note, especially if this area happens to be the place that we're heading to. Like if the meteor is in that direction, I'll try to see if it's on the way or stuff like that, you know? Just take general note, maybe even if I have a map, mark it there. But
fair enough. And I actually pasted that text in Roll20 so that if you want to do anything with it, you can, but if not, it's fine, but it's there.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
On the road again.
Very good. So you go on your way a bit further, traveling in the direction that your dragonette is still just excitedly pulling you, really. And let's see. So as you travel along, I am going to need a quick just roll of the D20 for me, if you would.
Sure. Oh no. 5.
5, okay. So, you're traveling along and it's getting quite warm and the sands are beginning to shift even more to the point that there's really not much of a path left. And there's a few spots coming up where you see in the distance, it looks like a group of some sort of just like humanoids that are kind of just robed and just walking out in the open expanse, and they're quite far away, and you've been traveling long enough that you're not entirely sure if you can if you can trust your eyes. But like I said, they're on the horizon. They're very far from you, so they will be something that you would encounter directly eventually.
Okay.
So what do you do with that?
Well, people aren't exactly a threat, I would say. So he'd probably just make himself smaller, as in making his wings furl down, kind of like to be a part of his suit in a way. Make his wings almost come down like a long trench coat or backpack, so that way it fits in with his look. And my look, honestly, would be, I'm a spellcaster scion guy, so I probably have general light armor, maybe flowy robes on, but nothing much more than that, I would say.
Okay. Sounds good. It'd be pretty easy to, make yourself smaller, unnoticeable for the most part.
Yep, and just like a normal old person walking through.
Okay, sounds good. So as you walk a bit further, you get close enough that you can see that there's a group of 3 of these people, and they look to be wearing matching robes, and it's like really, I mean, honestly, your first thought kind of right away is just like, those guys look like cultists. But make an insight check to see if you can glance anything else of their demeanors.
14.
14?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's pretty good. So yeah, they look like they're straight up like wearing cultist robes. You notice that they all have like hoods on, and the hoods have like interesting little ear-like feather things going on that you've seen on dragons before. It looks like their robes are meant to look kind of like dragon robes, and they also seem kind of chill. Like you can almost overhear some of their conversations, and it sounds like they're just like shooting the breeze as they're walking along.
Okay. Let's see. I
wonder if my microphone's picking that up. My wife is upstairs, playing Lethal Company. And she's just like yelling.
I haven't heard it.
That's funny. All right, sorry, carry on.
You're good. I have telepathy of 10 spaces. Are they within 10 spaces of me to possibly say anything to them?
Honestly, I would say yes. They are. They're kind of not really paying attention. They're kind of doing their own thing, so they're not looking to see where you are. They don't necessarily see you right away. Oops, sorry. So yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. Into one of their heads, I'd like to say, where are you headed?
Okay. You see one of them quickly stop and like perk up their whole form for a moment, and then they just kind of like look around, and then like he like slaps the other two, and you kind of hear them. He's like, "Wait, shut up! Pyrothrax speaks," and he kind of like looks around a little bit more, and then one of his friends that he slapped, kind of like looks over and actually finally sees you. And then he's just like, "No, he doesn't, you dummy. Look, that's that person over there, probably." And then he turns and looks at you, and you are seeing 3 hooded kobolds. And they see you, and they kind of like panic. They kind of like shrink up, and they look a little bit afraid. And then the one that you spoke to seems to, speak up finally, and he's just like, you? Was that you speaking to me?
Yes. Worshipper of Pyrothrax. It is I.
Excellent. And he'd be like, "Oh my gosh." And he kind of like looks at the other ones, and he's just like, "Look at this guy. He looks incredible." And he actually speaks loudly to you again. It's just like, Are you a representative of Pyrothrax the Great? You look a little bit like him."
I'm gonna use the sorcery. There we go. I'm gonna use the sorcery cantrip to present myself as okay. All right, this is how I want to explain it.
All right, I'm ready.
So the sorcery cantrip, I got a part of my fiendish background from being a fallen angel, which means I had to choose a supernatural source of power. So it's primal fire.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah, so
all right.
So kind of like the dragon fire, primal fire. That's like the theme here, that the energy flow or colors and all that.
Yeah. Okay.
And I can spend one mana to make my voice boom up to 3 times louder. You can call upon non-harmful magic of your chosen energy type to swirl around you in a visual display, and your eyes glow with the chosen energy type. So my eyes are going to glow red. I'm going to have this red swirling aura, and my voice is going to boom so much louder than it was in their heads. So it makes it seem like I have this like celestial presence.
Ooh, okay, awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to pretend to be a messenger of Pythrax.
Yes, I know. What a name, right? Pyrothrax. Good luck with that.
Yes.
Okay, that sounds good.
And this will be the first time they heard my voice. So the one that has already heard my voice, just in a kind of like calm and melodic tone in his head, will now hear my voice as a commanding and overpowering thing.
Okay, awesome. What are you saying to him?
Pretty much, I'm gonna be like, I am a prophet of Pythrax. Should what are you doing? Where are you going? Like, what are we doing? Like things like that. You know, I'm trying to get all of the information from them and possibly even tell them what to do before I leave.
Okay, I get you. What work are you doing for our Lord?
Yes, yes.
Okay, sounds good. So, man, I don't even know if there needs to be checks rolled. Basically, these 3 kobolds, as your voice booms, kind of like asking for their exactly what they're doing, their intentions, you know, what are they up to, all that stuff. They, like, all 3 of them just like drop to their knees and start kind of like bowing towards you. And they're like, "Our Lord Pyrothrax the Great, we were just scouting the area." And then you hear them like kind of talking back and forth, and they're like, "Should we tell him what we're actually doing?" And then they're just like, "Oh, well, he must know. Pyrothrax, we were about to perform a ritual, but we are having a really hard time doing that because, well, the ritual requires some specific words said while in the air, and none of us can really, like, be in the air."
Can I tell if they're telling the truth?
Make an insight.
Insight. Okay. Ooh, dirty 20.
Oh, sugar. Okay, sounds good. So, it does seem, they seem nervous, but what they're saying seems genuine at the same time. Seems like they're generally truthin'.
Okay, so if everyone looks, I guess, you know, properly shooken, I'm going to, in all 3 of their heads, as fast as I can, say, "Well, in that case, you can call me Zeph."
Ooh,
just very calm and lightly. And then the fire disappears.
Okay, so they all kind of like relax. They're less terrified now. And so they're like, okay, well, good. That's good. But to further honor Pyrothrax, could you perhaps help us? Could you say the finishing word of the ritual while possibly hovering in the air?
Absolutely. Where is this ritual taking place?
Well, really anywhere. It's, you know, this is one of those things that we don't really need like an altar or anything. It's really just the words, you know?
Is there a sacrifice involved?
No, not at all, actually. Like, I know most rituals there kind of is, but in this case, you just have to say the magic word in the air after we do a little chant. And we basically, this is just something we made up, but we think that Pyrothrax will really like it.
Very well. So long as your will is indeed pure, I'm sure Pyrothrax will welcome any homage.
Wow, Zeph, you're great. Okay, well, if you're ready, we can start the chant, and then you just have to like hop up in the air and float around for a second and scream the word, the finishing word at the end, if that's okay.
Let it begin.
All right, here we go. And they like quickly like band arms, like they've done this all the time. They do this like, they're like, finally, here we go. This is maybe the 100th time, and it's gonna work this time. And so they literally just start kind of like circling around real silly, and they just like start doing this chant, and they're like, "Gather round, ye brave and curious souls," and they just like do this whole thing. And she's like, they're like, "To Pyrothrax's lair where the firelight rolls," and they do this whole thing, and then they go on for a little while, and then there's like eyeing you, and they're like, "All right, you ready?"
Definitely. And I'm gonna jump up in the air, unfurl my wings, just flow them as hard as I possibly can. But it's a rather pathetic display because I have -1 might. It would be pretty pathetic to anyone probably but a kobold.
That's pretty funny. I like that. I mean, you could maybe rely on your agility a little bit if you really wanted to, but it's also kind of hilarious.
I also have
like,
-1
it
agility.
just not be that impressive. So, you hop up in the air, and you know what? For the fun of it, go ahead and make a. I can do this in DC20. I was gonna say make a martial check. So that's like either athletics or acrobatics, whichever one's better for you. Unless they're the same, then whatever.
-1, got it.
Sounds good. Let's see what that check's about.
Oof, 9.
9. Okay, you know, it's almost average, and like you said, these kobolds haven't seen I don't know, maybe anyone like ever in their lives. Like, you have no idea what's up with these guys. So you kind of just like launch yourself into the air, and you're able to hover there for just a moment, and you hear the one like midway through their own chanting, you hear the one, it's just like, okay, now say Scorchalicious, hurry.
Scorchalicious.
Okay, and as you do that, nothing really happens until you come back to the ground, and they're like, oh, well, what the heck? That's supposed to work. And then suddenly, the entire landscape is absolutely eclipsed by a shadow. And you look up in the air, and you see several hundreds, like maybe as far as a mile in the sky. You see this absolutely massive form just like appear in the sky, and it blots out the sun, and immediately where all the landscape is shaded, it's so cold suddenly too. And it's really interesting how you realize like the sun is blocked off completely, and it's like 30 degrees colder. And it's just like shocking for a moment.
Is this a celestial eclipse, or is it like a giant dragon in the sky with something like a Phyrexian name?
This does seem to be the form of a massive dragon in the sky.
Okay. All right.
The kobolds are looking directly up at it, and one of them literally, they're just like staring at it silently, and one of them just like falls over and faints. And this thing is just like you see it flap its wings once, and it looks like it's in the slowest slow motion ever, but it like is one more thing to give you scale that this thing is just huge, and it's like crazy how big this is. And maybe like a full minute, like as long as a full minute passes, and then you feel this huge gust of wind that you can attribute to the flapping of this creature's wings, and it's just hanging out in the sky.
Okay. Does it look like it's coming towards me or the kobolds? And what color is it? Taking into consideration that I'm a silver dragon with black wings, I would like to know if it's the same color as me.
Ah, fair enough. So it doesn't seem to be traveling in your direction at all. It seems to be just kind of like skating across the sky, doing its thing.
Okay.
And it does look, you see occasionally there are impressively large, like metallic glimmers of light off of the scales of this creature. And after staring at it for a little while, it does look like it's a silvery like color.
Nice. And I would also like to make some sort of, I guess, maybe awareness or insight check or even investigation to like see if this was a coincidence or directly caused by the ritual. Like, did Fyrax just happen to fly this way at the same time?
That sounds good. That's interesting. It'd be very hard to tell, but let's try it with an insight check. Let's see if you can just feel it out with your gut. Was this just a coincidence? I'm going to say it's going to be kind of hard to tell, so we'll see.
Okay, so 14 plus 5 if it's insight to make a 19.
Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, I was sitting at an 18 in my head. So it seems that maybe this was some weird fated event, but not necessarily from the ritual. Seems like the ritual was honestly just a bunch of silly bunk that the kobolds made up.
Okay, I'm gonna look at the kobolds, and I'm gonna say, "You've summoned our lord. Do you have any requests, or are you just wasting his time? If you say, if you happen to have nothing for him right now, then you best devote your life to serving him in the future."
Very cool. So as you say this, you kind of like look down at them, and one of them is like kind of like gently slapping the one that fainted, and then they look up as you're talking to them, and they the one that's kind of been leading the charge, the most charismatic of them maybe, looks up at you and it's just like, I don't even know what to say, and you hear him just like scream out in the air, and he's just like, "Have we always been orphans?"
Do you think that was loud enough for the dragon to hear?
Probably not, no.
Okay.
And there's just kind of like a moment of like quiet, and then he's just like, Well, either way, now that we've seen the great Pyrothrax and his messenger, Zeph, we will surely devote our lives to Pyrothrax from here on out.
Excellent. Now that you've called upon his power, we shall grant you more. If only you follow us. Follow me, Zeph, your new leader.
Holy crap! You know what's funny?
What?
This is hilarious because I don't even think you're going to believe me. I did not plan for this to be a recruitment.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
That's awesome.
I know what you're thinking. You're like, yes, you did. But I swear I didn't. I actually had something else in mind for that. So that's really funny. So that is quite interesting. Well, let's see how this goes. Roll an influence check with advantage and add 5.
Ooh, okay. Nice. Darn it. If I was one level higher, I could cast Befriend and Clear Suspicion at the same time. And then they would just... But okay.
Then I'd have to just give it to you, right? But
okay, I'm sorry. What were you? You wanted a D20, but...
Yeah, influence.
Okay.
With advantage and add 5. This is just a huge, like, you've really won them over. The whole display is unbelievable.
Dang. Okay, so influence plus 5 would be 10, 15, and then my influence is plus 5 as well. So dirty 20 if it's the all of that.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep, sounds good. So adding all of that together is what we're looking at. And quickly, the 3 of them, all 3, like even the one that fainted, quickly awakens and stands to attention, and all 3 of them are just like, yes. We could see no other way to pledge our lives than to help Zeph, the messenger of Pyrothrax.
That's awesome. And then for dramatic effect, I would like it if the dragonette actually emerged from my amulet and just like zipped around them a little bit for like, dramatic effect to show that like there's just a real connection to spiritual dragon, I guess, to be able to sell it to them.
Heck yes. So this beautiful, cute little Neopet looking spiritual dragon flies out of your amulet and just like zips around them like Tinkerbell, but more elegant and pretty. And they are just like shocked. They're like, wow, this is amazing. And they're just literally like just screaming and like almost crying. They're just like, yeah. they're just thrilled, They seem fully indebted to you.
That is awesome.
Wow. I didn't plan any of that going that way. That's quite fun.
All right. I guess I would ask these guys for a general lay of the land and where the direction would be that I could go for the meteor as well. And I would be asking them questions like about Phyrexia, but like in a way that I'm testing them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd be like, so, church on Sunday, and they're like, no, it's Saturday. And it's like, well, yeah, I knew that.
That's hilarious. Yes, sounds good. I will say that, like, you just kind of like talking with them back and forth a little bit. It really seems like they have no idea what they're doing. Like, they have no clue. There's no, like, concrete thing happening with their, like, belief system. They're just like, we've heard of Pyrothrax, a dragon that's huge and epic.
Okay.
And that's cool. Like, that's it. Like, that's all I got.
That's awesome. So for Zephyrian, right? His mom was a fallen angel. So that means they were hunted by heaven and hell alike. So the only thing that they could rely on while he was a child was the power of the dragon kind. So he was definitely going to be like looking to reinforce those kind of like paladin-y dragonborn lessons that his father enforced into him, into them. So the things that like his background would be like the paladin honor kind of thing, he would try to enforce that dragonborn-y background-ish stuff onto them.
Oh yeah, very cool. Wow, this is so cool the way this is shaping up. Okay, sweet. Awesome. So
yeah, I mean, I'd more or less be talking like I knew about Phyrexia and like teaching them these lessons as if they were gospel.
Yes, awesome. That's so fun. All right, cool. And they can't tell the difference. Like I said, they've just like, we've heard of this guy, he's a dragon, now we've seen him, that's cool. So they are quick to buy into whatever you tell them. They're like, yes,
That's
you
awesome.
might as well be Pyrothrax at this point, because they're just like, yep, whatever you're saying, that is the truth, 100%. So that's quite fun. You also mentioned that you were going to talk to them about like the lay of the land a little bit too. So they're going to give you some stuff with that.
Okay, cool.
Basically, the one you've been talking to really seems to be the voice of the three of them. The others hardly speak, except to him for the most part. So
Okay. The dreaded question I'm sure you were waiting for. What are their names?
yes, I have this definitely prepared right now. Their names are the first one to talk to you. Glimmerclaw.
Glimmerclaw.
He is yes, he's definitely the voice of them. And basically, he's like, he's got like these kind of like iridescent scales. That shimmer kind of like moonlight or like water. I don't know. Something about them is like they shine, but weirdly not that brightly.
Okay.
But yeah, Glimmerclaw speaks for the rest of them, and they're all brothers. They're just like, Glimmerclaw's like, yeah, we're all orphans. We've only known each other for like our whole lives. We've just kind of wandered the desert. And so he's like, over here is Soot Snout. That is Soot Snout.
Soot Snout.
And yeah, and he's kind of like, he's grumpier, they all look kind of similar.
Yeah.
But he's kind of grumpy, but yeah, we're just kind of quiet. And he's like, and then my other brother, Nimbletoe, he's quick. He's really fast.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's cool.
Okay.
So Glimmerclaw, Soot Snout, and Nimbletoe.
Is there like things that they're specifically good at? Like, is Glimmerclaw, I don't know, the fighter because he has claws? Stuff like that.
Yes, Glimmerclaw does seem to be, basically you would be like talking to them. You're like, so basically Glimmerclaw is like, yeah, I can mess some people up. Not that I have much, but like when we need to hunt and eat and stuff, I normally get the food. So yeah, like Glimmerclaw does seem to be the one that's, a little more apt to combat, perhaps.
Okay.
Soot Snout is surprisingly good at brewing foods, like stews, even to the point of maybe them having like magical properties and things like that. He seems to have a weird way of like simple enchanted cooking.
Nice.
And Nimbletoe is just really fast. He's fast. He's like he's a little bit smaller. He can squeeze through stuff a little easier. And good at exploring. He's maybe like somewhere in between like a rogue and a ranger kind of deal.
Very nice. Okay. I like that. I would say we would probably be traveling in the direction of the meteor, and they would be accompanying me. But if we come to a place where we need to like go to a rest or something, I would want to like do a mini like class more or less of the Dragonborn background you're supposed to honor before we go to bed, and then I would want to give them all like a tiny present.
Okay, that sounds good. And honestly, it's not long before those events would take place. So they quickly tell you, they're like, hey, we've been wandering around here, for like our whole lives. So they're like, this spot has like some ruins that are pretty cool. We often camp out there just to kind of get out of the weather a little bit, whatever. So they give you a couple different areas, but basically they're like, yeah, we should camp at this place. This is where we normally camp. If you want to check it out, kind of thing, so it wouldn't be long before you need to start looking at something like that anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I would head in that way, especially if that way is in the direction of the meteor.
Yes. Okay. And it definitely is. There's a couple different areas of ruins that they're like, aware of, and there are some in the direction of the strange falling star situation.
Okay.
They do warn you. They're like, sometimes, every now and then, that we do see like other people, and it's like rare, but sometimes there are like nomadic tribes that kind of just like move around and explore the area or whatever. So that is possible, but it's pretty rare. So they kind of just like warn you of that. That's basically the only thing they're like, that's all you really got to worry about out here, kind of thing.
Okay.
But they're like, but this place we're taking you to should be pretty safe.
Okay. I'll impart some wisdom about being a nomad, how like every place is home as long as you make it, something like that.
Oh yeah. That's good. I like that a lot. In fact, DC20 doesn't have inspiration necessarily, but that feels like an inspiration moment. If I had if this was Baldur's Gate 3, you would have gotten inspiration for that, I think. So so if you want to keep track of an inspiration, maybe just like a roll with advantage that you can use anytime, really.
Heck yeah. That sounds awesome.
All right, cool. But yeah, they lead you to their little camp that they expect will be, it's right about the perfect timing where it's going to be a day's travel for the most part. So it'll be getting darker as they lead you there. And it's just kind of like a little area. There is like actually a little bit of water in this area. Like some puddles and things. It's a little bit more of like an oasis of sorts. And yeah, so that's a nice little spot they bring you to.
Nice. Well, if this is where we're going to start setting up camp, I would start setting up camp how I normally do, but trying to include as many people as I can, and maybe even try to delegate some things. Be like Soot Snout. Start making some food, and then I'll give them some like rations or something, and I'll be like, Nimblefoot, secure the area, and something like that. Just like tell everybody a simple job while I start making sure that the camp is ready for everyone.
How fun. You made friends. How cool is that? Okay, cool. That sounds great. So you do exactly that. And they are, like I said, man, you are their dad now. So they're just like, yeah, sounds great.
Perfect.
They're doing whatever you tell them. And you managed to set up a very nice little camp that you are quite happy with. And the 3 kobolds also seem quite happy and content and comfortable in your presence. This is maybe the first close person that they've had, that they've like talked to for more than a moment or, whatever, in quite a while, it seems. So they're giving you their life story, and sadly it's not much. But yeah, and you are definitely able to impart this very impressive and like wise Dragonborn like belief system that you've kind of grown up with to them.
Nice.
And they're just like adamantly listening as they're like sitting around this fire with you probably, and you've got like your tent set up and all that, and they're just like all ears, like little children.
Good. I would essentially tell them like my real backstory, but like feathered up to be a Phyrexian follower. Basically, any Dragonborn rites, rituals, or cultural things, I would just account to Phyrexia to make the story seem like consistent.
Ah, okay.
So, but other than that,
very smart.
They would know how I came to be, I guess, to let them know that I was also a nomad as well.
Ah, very cool. Man, and they love you even more for it. So I'd say like right about the time you've been traveling all day, and like as soon as the sun starts setting, it becomes immediately like a more comfortable temperature. I don't know how much kobolds and dragonborn sweat, but if you could be sweating, you'd be sweating. So like as soon as the sun starts to set, everyone becomes quite comfortable, and you notice that they actually are kind of like, they're just like clonked out. They just start like snoring. They're done for, and you're kind of just like left with your dragonette, and seems like bedtime.
Definitely. As long as the night seems safe, I'll probably end up going to bed to take a long rest.
Okay.
How exactly
so
does resting work? Because I have 1 rest point. Do I use a rest point when I rest, or do I regain a rest point when I rest?
So, funny enough, that's one of the few rules I really didn't read at all yet. So I don't actually even know how resting works yet, but that's okay, because in the dim light of the setting sun, there is a moment where kind of like over one of the hills that is somewhat securing your location. It's like a small rocky area, and like I said, there's a few puddles, and you notice that there's even like some ruined bridges between some of these like small puddles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you're just kind of like tucked away in this little spot. But in the dim light of the setting sun, a large seemingly battle-hardened orc steps forward, kind of just like right up on top of this ridge. And his grizzled features are painted with scars of countless battles. His eyes seem to just like burn with a ruthless determination, but you notice that he's also kind of slumped over. Like he is quite old. Maybe older than he certainly, he's certainly past his prime, but he's a seasoned warrior, no doubt. And it looks like he's survived against all odds, but he's not alone either.
Oh, okay.
So in this moment, you see he turns to his side, and there, cresting this cliff with him, seems to be a young orc boy. The boy is his son. You can tell, and like he's still green and untested in the ways of battles, but you notice that his father just looks angry, just looks relentless. And you hear him command his child. He's like, "Stand firm, my son. Show no fear. This is your time. Attack and prove your worth."
Ooh. Okay.
And I feel like that might be a good time to actually wrap up our first session. How do you think?
Yeah. I feel like that might be pretty fun.
Yeah. Let's call it there. Let's call it there for now.
Okay. Perfect. We can get into combat next time we start.
Yes. So the next session, we will start right out with combat. So for those of you that are like, oh no, it was part 1, I'm not going to watch part 2, you're wrong, because part 2 will be testing combat right away. So tune in for part 2.
Right. But I mean, you got to admit, I did roll quite a few times.
Yeah, that's true. Lots of rolls were made. There was a really silly ritual that happened. That was fun. Mm-hmm. Very interesting. I'm excited to see where this goes. But yes, me and you will cover a lot of stuff individually. But as far as this episode of the campaign, I'd say we're wrapped up. Is there anything you want to say to the folks as we get out of here?
What would you guys do if you were in my situation?
That would be great.
But
a little bit of insight from people would be very helpful, I imagine.
Right. But really, thank you guys for watching. If you like this kind of series, let us know. Honestly, this is fun for us to do, so we're probably going to do it anyway. But the more love, the better.
Yes. But yes, show any of the love that you'd like for us. We love your love. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. But check out DC20. There are so many more videos. There's more gameplays out already. There are even gameplays specifically from Alan, the dungeon coach, running his own game with YouTubers. And that's really cool. But yeah, we'll have the link in the description for the alpha. Guys, thanks so much. Let us know what you want to see moving forward as we keep doing this thing.
Definitely.
All right, cool. We'll see you later.
Bye, everybody.